Hello. You guys, I'm a few minutes early. Hello, hello, hello. Make sure you say hi. I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready. Hey, oh my gosh. Hi, Nikki. Guys, I forgot my books. Hey, Zane. I said go live, and when I do that, it does a countdown. And tonight, tonight it didn't do a countdown. It just went live. So we're starting early, I guess. You know, I'm getting old. I gotta go to bed early anyway, so I guess it was meant to be. Hey, Brooklyn. Hi, Dale. Hi, Eli. New York again. Oh, yay, next week. Awesome. One of the guys that's on here all the time with us, I met with today, so that was super fun to finally get to talk to him. Okay. Well, gosh, there's a ton of you on already. Okay, make sure that you guys say hi. If you just like it, I can't see who's liking it unless I'm just don't know what I'm doing, which, hey, is not a total surprise when it comes to technology. But stop in and say hi so we can have some new people. Hey, Christina. All right, I'm going to get started because I don't want everybody to just sit and look at me. Hey, Holly, how's it going? In Oregon. Okay. I had diversity this week. Diversity. But I have two not so fun stories to share. So I'm going to start with those because I don't want anybody to miss them. Well, hello from Tampa. Hi, Tony. Oh no, what did I do? No. That was scary. I touched something. I touched something and got a big warning. Hey, Tyler. Hey, Brett. So we have a couple tough stories. And when I share these, just keep in mind that, we don't know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. And so I had two of them, so I'm going to talk about them right away. One client I talked to this week, she bought the book prior to 2017. I changed systems, when I sell a book, I can see who buys it, when you bought it, what you watched, all that good stuff. It's just a customer tracking type thing for marketing. And I switched systems in 2017, so she bought the book prior to 2017 because there's just not a lot in the system. And I said, oh, you've had the book for a while. And she said, I have, and I was waiting for my dad and my husband to get on board. And so we've procrastinated because they didn't want to read it. And so I didn't push them. But guess what? Dad passed away in July. And he owned 51% of the ranch, and he had a couple ranches. He owned 51% of the ranch, and they worked that ranch, they expanded that ranch, everything they have, he helped them, and then they ran it and created it and developed it to where it is today. And they've done this all with cash. They have sacrifice. They have zero loans. It is quite remarkable. I have a couple of those people this week, but it is quite remarkable. So dad has a cut on his finger, gets a staph infection, 3 days later, passes away. 3 days later. Nobody knew. The doctors, by the time the doctors found it, too late, right? So dad passes away. The sibling calls and says, don't think that you are going to get that ranch. I'm entitled to half. Sibling does not ranch, does not farm. And so no problems with the sibling before, no idea that this would be coming. Very heartbreaking, right? What's more heartbreaking, and dad had it all set up, so there's going to be some stuff to go over, but not absolutely horrible, right? Because dad had stuff, a few things in order. What's heartbreaking is that they procrastinated on the life insurance. And so even though they're debt-free, they now have attorney bills and other things to worry about. Had we met 4 or 5 years ago, guess what? We would have most likely bought life insurance on dad, because they've always had a situation where they have some income. They manage their money well. We could have had a policy on dad, and the wife that read the book said, done. We are not procrastinating any longer. We are getting life insurance. And guess how much life insurance that the son and daughter have on themselves? Zero. Zero, zero, zero. Zero. And they are running this operation. And so, great, everything's paid for, fantastic. But that's not what it's about, people. And I have talked to several people this week and said, you want more life insurance on you. And in all of these cases, it was the husband, because they're the main breadwinner in all of these situations I had this week. We need more life insurance on me, Mary Jo, because she doesn't work. Okay. So if she dies tomorrow, you're going to be okay. You're just going to get up, you're going to go to work, you're going to take care of the kids emotionally, physically, mentally. Like, you're just going to be able to do all that. You're not going to have any loss of income. No, that's not the case. And so these guys have done just an absolute amazing job getting to where they're at. And it's truly unfortunate that dad passes away and now we have a war, because we don't know what to expect and who to expect it from and which child to expect it from. Okay? But they have also had a really bad year of drought. And so they've had to sell a lot of cows. So they've got some cash on hand. So we're going to use some of that to front load a policy and get all of that stuff going. And mom is 71. So hopefully we can get some insurance on her to help kind of settle this estate if there is any financial loss. When mom passes away, hopefully we can have something for that. Okay, next one, similar but worse. I don't make this stuff up, you guys. I really don't. Young, late 30-year-old was farming has an off the farm job, full-time off the farm job, and was farming with dad. Dad passed away. 3 months later, mom passed away. 3 months later, grandma passed away, which grandma had the land that the son and the dad were leasing to farm. And so again, one of the family members comes in and starts doing all sorts of illegal things because nobody is set as a trustee. There was no true estate planning done. Dad passed in an accident, so it's not like he was sick. Mom was sick, did not live. Mom found out she was sick in between and did not make it. Absolutely, the things that this young man is having to go through is ridiculous. So he's having to clean up an estate, work a full-time job, and try to get all the crops off, right? So, and then we gotta like take care of two places because he's got a place now to take care of. Absolutely nasty, nasty stuff. And so it's interesting because I always say there's either one child that we don't expect. And if everybody tells me that, oh, we all get along and it's fantastic. Okay, great. You all get along. I love it. I absolutely love it. But do you know what that in-law is going to act like? And in this situation, we have a little bit of a challenge with the in-law, right? And so if you have an in-law that think about it. All the siblings are getting along. Everything is fantastic. And then there's one in-law that thinks that they should get something more, or their spouse should get something more. And this child is at home with this in-law, right? Wait, you should get that, and he shouldn't get that, and he doesn't deserve that, and blah, 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 blah. Eventually, that one sibling is going to hear enough of it to think, I need more, right? And cause problems. I mean, absolutely crazy. Like, this poor young guy has had an awful, awful year. But to not have really any help with any of it. And now we have siblings that are completely separated. Everybody is on their own. And everybody has to hire an attorney to talk to the other one. Like, it's just crazy. How long is it going to take to clean up an estate like that? Like, now we have land in a trust. Can we plant that land next year? Is one of the siblings going to stop it? Or both of the siblings going to stop it and not even rent it? Like, what happens now? Oh, and this is something else. Dad passes away with debt, right? He had a little bit of life insurance. Mom used that to pay off the house, not the farm. So not a lot of operating debt, not hardly any operating debt, but lots of equipment debt. And so guess who inherits the debt? The kids, to the equal parts that they inherited land and such. And so the farming child inherited 50% of the debt. Now we have to make sure we can take care of that because there's not anything else to use. You guys, you don't know. You don't know when the storm is going to hit. Crazy, crazy, crazy. That guy did not procrastinate calling me. Some things got in the way, but he did not procrastinate for years calling me. But nonetheless, like, just be prepared. Just be prepared because it's not going to go easily. It's not, if it does, fantastic, but prepare for the worst, please. Okay. Hi, Carrie. All right, what do we have next? And a lot of times, think about it. If we have some death benefit on mom or dad, at least we have some money to hire an attorney if we need to. No, he's got to work, use off the farm money to hire an attorney. Grain sales to hire an attorney. It's just, it's really, it's hard. It's hard. All right. My next gentleman, I never, ever, ever, ever want to hear anybody say, Mary Jo, I just don't have the time to meet with you. Mary Jo, we're just too busy. Because I was on a call and said, oh, I assumed that the gentleman was in a state near me. And I said, how is it over there today? And he goes, well, it is 2 o'clock in the morning and 45 degrees. I said, what? 2 o'clock in the morning, where are you? Afghanistan. So one of our amazing service members, he's in Afghanistan, deployed, 2 o'clock in the morning, he is up talking to moi. He said, you know what, I'm gonna wait till I get back to the US. And then I'm going to schedule an appointment with her. I am not getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning and then probably have to get up super early to do his military duties that he does every day. I'm doubting that he gets to sleep in. No, instead, I interrupted almost an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes of the poor guy's sleep. So if you have an issue and say, I can't make it work, right. That's what I have to say about that. If you want something bad enough, you will make it work. This young gentleman, awesome guy. It was funny because he's like, I needed all my debt paid off before I met with you. And so he paid all his debt off within the last 12 months meeting with me, which is fantastic. He said, don't yell at me for doing that. And I'm not yelling at him for doing that. But if we're going to pay the debt off, guess what? We have to pay ourselves back for the money that we used cash on hand to pay all this debt off, because he does not want to have debt. So we owe ourselves the money. What are we going to do with that money? Put it into a life insurance policy, because that's what Nelson would say. Be an honest banker. Pay yourself back for any cash that you used, right? He also has a very unique situation because he was raised by his grandparents. So that's mom and dad, and they are elderly, late 80s, early 90s. We can't do anything. We can't buy life insurance on them. They have a farm. They want him and his brothers to take over this farm. Well, his brother and his other siblings are in their 60s because those are really his uncles, but raised as if, family. And so he is really in a unique situation because mom and dad are still farming. They're going to want him to take over, but we don't really know, are we going to have some money for operating? The farm makes a little bit of money, but nothing to live off of because mom and dad always had off the farm jobs. The brother has an off the farm job. He has obviously off the farm income coming in from the military. And hopefully when he gets back to the States, he can stay in the States and not be deployed again. And so he's needing to start and to kind of figure out how this transition is going to go, what that's going to look like. And, I just asked, do they have life insurance? Is there going to be anything that you and your brother can use for operating? What happens when your brothers pass away? They're significantly older than you. So what happens when they pass away? Do you have to buy out your nieces and nephews' share, or do they just come into the estate? So many things that really need to be considered. And in this situation, mom and dad, we can't buy insurance on, but we really could and should be buying insurance on the brother that we're going to be farming with. Because of the fact that he's much older, we are going to have to take that over, and we're going to want to make sure that we have something to buy out nieces and nephews if we need to. So definitely a unique situation, but so super awesome to talk to him, because here's another thing. He has listened to every Infinite Banking podcast, and this is words from his mouth and not mine. He said, I have listened to anything and everything Infinite Banking, and I can tell the difference between a practitioner and somebody that is not a practitioner and certified. You guys, that is not coming from me. That is coming from somebody that has educated himself, read all the books, listened to all the podcasts, watched every YouTube video that he could. He can tell the difference between somebody that is certified and somebody that is not. And when you are listening to myself and James Netherly and Ryan Griggs and Russ and Joey and all these practitioners that are certified, you understand what a true infinite banking practitioner does. How we teach it, how we speak about it, how we talk about money, how we are utilizing policies. This is important. So that is just coming from him, and I thought that was awesome feedback because I had not heard that before. I talk about it and I talk about it and I talk about it, but I hadn't actually heard somebody, reference it that they can tell the difference. All right, let's see. Any comments here? Hi, Matt. Hi, Michael. How are you? Yes, Christina, it does. And you don't know, right, Christina? You don't know which one. It's like, it's just like picking straws sometimes. Hey, Brian. Okay. Next one we had off the farm income. And we have great off the farm income between him and his wife. Again, taking over grandpa's operation. Dad did not farm. There was no farming interest there, all off the farm income. But he is living on some of the land. I believe he's living on some of the land with grandpa. And he is going to be taking over. Grandpa's in his 80s. And so there needs to be some kind of transition figured out, because obviously it's not going to go directly to him. It's going to go to a parent, one of his parents, and then it's going to go to him. And so what happens with the cows? The land is going to be transferred to the parent, and then it's going to go to him. Do we have cousins we're going to have to worry about with land? And we've already got some cousins that are causing conflict, and grandpa's not gone. And so we already know who we need to be prepared for in this situation. But one of the parents is going to get it. But with the cattle, this gentleman as well, paying as much as we can, get that mortgage paid off, get all of our debt paid off so we're debt free, and then we can start buying cows. Whoa, really? Like, I get that we want to pay the mortgage off so we can quit the job and farm, but how about we lessen how much we pay to the mortgage? And in his situation, not a good idea. Only 3 or 4 years left on the mortgage. But if we can lessen what we are paying on a mortgage in most situations, and use that money to slowly buy cows from grandpa and build our herd, why wouldn't we do that? Because now, yes, it might take longer for the mortgage to be paid off, but now we have more calf income coming in, right? He wants to do direct to consumer. So he's waiting and making this a 10 to 15 year plan when it really should be like a tomorrow plan, because grandpa might not have 10 to 15 years. And if we wait until all the debt's paid off and grandpa passes away, guess what? We're going to go get a whole huge stinking FSA loan to buy all the cows at one time. And now we have more debt to pay when we could slowly be buying those cows from grandpa now. The other thing is we're putting a ton of money into a 401k, way above the match. Can we go down to the match, take that extra money, buy the cows from grandpa? Use that money to start a policy, turn around, borrow against it, buy those cows from grandpa, right? Or give grandpa the cash, buy the cows, and then use the calf income to pay for a policy. I don't care how you do it, but do it, right? And grandpa, traditional rancher, no rotational grazing, no regenerative ag, none of that stuff. And so I was able to share some of that with him today, and he had no idea. And so that is going to tremendously help him, because he's not going to maybe have a lot of ground, but he can have more cattle. And if he's doing direct to consumer, we talked about, and I talked about this with a couple people today that were doing direct to consumer, is that if you're going to do direct to consumer and you don't have enough cattle of your own to process, the neighbor guy might have some steers ready to go. And so can you buy them from the neighbor 20 cents more a pound, process them, and sell them to your customers? And so lots and lots of ideas for him to get started now and not wait 10 to 15 years. Oh my gosh, grandpa is like in his late 80s, I think. He might not have 24 hours. We don't know. We absolutely don't know. And so, and then here's another situation. I said, okay, what if the child has one of his parents, what if his parent dies before grandpa? Then what happens? Then who gets that land? Then who becomes part of that trust? Like, we have to consider that, because look at the situation we had earlier. Dad passed, mom passed, then grandma passed. So dad passed before grandma. I have had a couple of those situations now where dad is going to pass before the parent that owns the land. Well, now we're completely out of order. Does it go, if it's dad, does it go to mom, or does it skip mom and go to the kids? Because not everyone gets handed down. A lot of times it skips the in-law and goes straight to the grandkids. So many things to think about. But he has such a great opportunity to start now. Buy some cows, have grandpa as a mentor, because he's going to need a mentor. His dad doesn't ranch. His dad doesn't know anything about ranching. Well, I suppose he knows something because he was raised there. But grandpa's the one that's ranching. So he needs that mentor. Let's keep him there and keep him close while we can. All right. Hey, Doug. You know more about cattle than you think. I better know a little something about cattle because I was raised with them. Doesn't mean I know everything. Okay. Next one. All right. This was a gal that I had talked to earlier in the year, and this was really funny because she had just started. She just bought some rental properties. COVID hit. Like, they were just starting a direct consumer business. They were starting a lot of stuff. And so she really had to get a lot of stuff in order. We met again because she had got all of that in order. She has about a year under her belt for the rental properties. And it was really good conversation. What was funny about it is she said in the first meeting, she's like, you really raked me over the coals. Then I was like, gosh, I hope I'm not being mean. But there was so much transition that we really had to get a lot of stuff in order before we could decide where we're going to go, how we're going to move forward, what we're going to do. Because here's the deal, you guys. I see this a lot. People are starting stuff. They're changing jobs. They're quitting a job and going to farming. And there's a massive transition. And it's going to affect our income. I don't know if you can afford a policy. And I do not want to sell you a policy that you can't afford and you have to cancel it. Because if you cancel your policy within the first 10 years, depending on when we wrote the policy for you, if you cancel it before that break-even point, you're going to lose money. That's not the goal here. And so I am always erring on the side of caution. So I don't mean to rake anybody over the coals, but I sure do want to make sure that we have a foundation before we just start throwing money into something and hoping and praying, okay? But what I learned, what I saw with her that I see with a lot of people, and I'm talking about this in tomorrow's podcast, so I'm not going to go into it super deep because it's a 30-minute podcast for tomorrow. But the husband, they're doing direct to consumer. They have some beef. The hubby is great. He wants to work outside. He wants to feed cows. He is going to go do his thing outside, right? And she is stressing because I have to build a website. I have to do marketing. I have to get beef delivered. I have to get beef scheduled. She's doing all the work to get it to the consumer. And there's a bit of a disconnect between the two of them of what each person is doing and if one is more important than the other. Nobody is more important than the next guy. We need to have a unified business plan and work together. And I see this a lot, that somebody is gifted in the area of marketing or technology, and somebody just doesn't give two craps about it, right? They just want to go outside and feed cows. That's all they want to do. They want to go mend fences. They want to go do their thing because that's their thing. And we have to respect that. But we have to understand as well that we've got kids to take care of. We've got a job to do. We've got rental properties to run. Typically, the mom, in most cases, is the one in the house doing all this stuff. And she's got a lot of irons in the fire and might just need a little bit of help. The other thing that I had another client that he was telling his wife, well, you need to post this on Facebook. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I'm like, you do need to do those things. Absolutely. Because that's what's going to help you get clients, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I do. He was out doing all the work, and he was the one that had the marketing. Like, he just got marketing. And sometimes it's just a given for some of us. Like, we just get the marketing side of it. We're kind of marketers born that way. And so in that case, maybe he just needs to take it and do his own marketing and let her schedule the pickups and schedule when we're going to have everything butchered and all that kind of stuff. And where are our strengths, right? Some people, it's just not their strength. I am not, you guys, y'all know I love my husband, but I am not putting that boy in charge of marketing or organizing and setting anything up. It's not going to happen. It's not how his brain works. It's not what he likes to do. He'd probably rather go sit on the railroad tracks. So I can't expect him to do that and naturally think, ooh, I should be posting that on Facebook. I should be marketing myself. I should get a texting program, right? We need to make sure we can market to these people, even after COVID. So we have to work together. We have to sometimes brainstorm that. And typically, somebody that is idea driven, like myself, are verbal thinkers. I have to be moving my mouth to be brainstorming. I just need someone to, like, a little bit of feedback, right? And so even though you might want to be outside with the cows, and it's a husband and wife operation, you might need to actually open your mouth and talk back so that the person with the ideas can have more ideas, okay? Or go find somebody that you can share those ideas with. So that meeting was awesome, but it led to tomorrow's podcast. So make sure that you are listening to tomorrow's podcast, which is Farming Without the Bank, in case you didn't know. All right. Eric, do you suggest putting a percentage of gross revenue in outside investments versus back into the business for growth? Depends on what you're doing. Like, that's not a cut and dry answer. If those investments can be put back into the business to make more money and for growth, absolutely put it in the business. If you want some diversified income like rental properties so that you have some cash flow, then maybe you want to put it there, but it's going to slow down your growth. And are you okay with that? Stock market, I don't recommend the stock market. It's not liquid. It's at risk. When you need it, if you're trying to grow, you can't even use it. If it's in the stock market, you can't. You're going to have it in the stock market, then you're going to go to the bank to borrow money because you don't have any liquid money. Stock market would be my absolute last option. My last option. I am not a financial advisor and cannot give you financial advice. But if it was mine and you knowing what I have in the book, no. And that's what I see a lot is people are, now if you're getting a match through work, that might be a different story, right? But to put any extra there, if we want to expand our operation, if we're going to be buying land next door, it's not like we're 65 and quitting. we're in our 30s and 40s and we're trying to grow and we're sticking all this money in the market, and then you come to me and say, I want to quit working when I'm 50 and I want to be farming. Okay, but you can't access the money you just put in your 401k at 50 without penalty. And so if you're going to need it at 50 to expand, do you really want to put it there? I mean, it really depends on the objective. I have some people that do, and that's great because that's where they want to be diversified. More power to you. I don't know the stock market. I'd be better off buying cows because I know, I'd probably know more about cows or rental properties or something else, not the stock market. Tomorrow's podcast title, Business Advice, and Christina, I'm not sure. Business advice and working within people's talents or something. I forget what I named it. All right, I have another lady that is working off the farm and has a really small raw milk operation. She has 4 cows, and so she is really not any big extra income. And so she's really needing to figure out, how can I stop selling milk and start selling cheese because I can make more money selling cheese. But she needs to have a certified kitchen and all that stuff, and this is going to cost X amount of dollars, and so we need to figure out, how are we going to come up with the $20-some thousand we need to get the certified kitchen. And we did not spend a lot of time on the life insurance side of things and the policy and that sort of stuff because she just didn't have any income to start. So we'll start with term insurance. However, we ran a lot of strategies, like, can she borrow money from her sister? Does her sister have some money she can borrow from due to the situation they have? Her house is paid off. Can she refinance the house at 2.5% interest and have a really small payment for 30 years? And obviously we can pay it off early, right? We don't want to pay 30 years on a facility that makes cheese probably, but can she pay it off early because now she'll have the income because this cheese thing is going to apparently produce a whole ton of income. I've never made cheese. I don't know. Can she sell shares of the cheese? So now I'm buying into her cheese plant and I get first dibs on the cheese, and then anything that she has left over from all the people that buy in, she can sell at farmers markets and direct to wholesalers. She had some really super good ideas, like selling to breweries and wineries and using some of their own products to help make the cheese, which was very cool. Can she, and the labor part of it is kind of what's killing her of milking. And so can she find somebody else to milk and hire somebody to milk so she can go make cheese, which is where she's going to make more money working with making the cheese. Should she buy the cheese from somebody else at wholesale, another dairy, that she can buy the milk from another dairy to make the cheese? She doesn't even need the cows then. She doesn't need to milk the cows. She doesn't need to spend time with the cows. She just needs to be making cheese. Because she's a single woman and it's her operation, are there grants out there for her? Are there loans out there specifically for women-owned businesses? Are there agriculture loans for small ag businesses to get started? Look for grants. Always, always, always look for grants. All of you young people that are starting direct to consumer, are there agriculture grants out there for you? There is money sitting, and it doesn't have to be an agriculture grant. Maybe there's state business grants for you. There is always money sitting somewhere, and it's going unused. It's grant money. Apply for it. The CARES Act allowed a lot of people to get a lot of money, and then Lowe's was doing grants to people because they got a lot of money from the CARES Act stuff, and then they were just giving it out in grants. So that was that was a fun meeting, and we did a lot of brainstorming, ran a lot of numbers. How much money are you going to make? Does it pay to do it? What do we need? Boo. I mean, I was confused by the time we were done. She was confused by the time we were done. I said, just check those numbers, because I am not promising that they are right, because I don't understand cheese and ounces, and we had to move gallons to ounces, and you guys, I was never that great in like conversion stuff. That's what Google's for. Okay. Oh, Christina, that would have been a much better title for tomorrow's podcast. That's awesome. I will call you next time I need a great podcast title. Okay. The next one was very interesting because I have not heard of this, but it's a massive, massive, massive dairy calf feeding operation. And they've been going for about 2 years. It's just massive. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars a month in operating, and all done in cash. And why? Because they have had financial hardship in the past and refused to go through it again with the bank. And so they're doing it smarter this time. And they are doing a great job. Again, we have a partner. We have the dad running it, knows how to set it up, knows how to manage the people, knows how to buy and deliver and structure all that, right? He's the big thinker. He's the Mary Jo. I am like always thinking, loving to start new businesses and got the ideas out there, but I really suck at looking at the books, and that's why I have a bookkeeper. So these guys had a bookkeeper, but he is not looking at the books. He knows there's money there, and he's good. And we are buying land from owners, but massive payments, because it's such short-term debt or short-term loans. Massive payments, which we have no problem making today. But what happens if cattle prices fall out? If we're not selling beef? If we quit getting calves? What if? Can we stretch those loans out, create more cash flow, and have a bigger pool of money and liquidity if something happens, right? If something happened tomorrow, he would be okay for a very short period of time, because we haven't created a big pool of cushion for liquidity. And so as awesome as they're doing, and he is amazing at what he does, but we have to make sure we're looking at those numbers and we're thinking cash flow, not equity, right? Because what does equity give us when we need cash flow? If we have the cash flow, great, build the equity. But if we have to wait on the equity for a little bit because we need the cash flow, then we need the cash flow. Wait on the equity and stretch those loans out. The other thing is that they hired a bookkeeper because him and his wife do not agree on how to handle finances and how to look at things. And so it's awesome. They knew that they could not do that together. So they hired a bookkeeper. She has access to it. He has access to it. All is good in the world, right? And then they have 2 older sons who were in the meeting, which was also fantastic. And the kids already had a lot of the mindset because they had been listening to other podcasts and knowing that cash flow was king and not equity, right? And not being debt free. And so he said, well, could the son so-and-so take over the LLC portion of the business and do all the meeting minutes and all that stuff? And I said, he can. But here's the deal, Dad. If you are going to give up responsibility of something, then you cannot criticize or tell somebody how to do that job, because it's not your job to do. If you're not good at that job, you now can't tell somebody else how to do it. Just like if you hire a bookkeeper and she says, Joe, you don't have any money, you can't buy that, you don't get to go out and buy it. It's not an option. You don't have any money to do so. Because if you buy something you can't afford, guess what? Then you complain that you don't have any money. Well, whose fault is that? If you are going to give duties to people and that is their expertise, then you have to listen to them. Doesn't mean you can't question them, but you have to listen to them. Because if you constantly undermine them, why did you give them a job? Okay? That goes for everybody. This guy was not doing that. But it comes with a warning from me because I see it all the time, and I talked about it in last week or the week before. We can't be undermining somebody else's responsibilities. There was something else I was going to say here. Oh, the LLC. So last year they like broke even. This year they have skyrocketed and the world is awesome. They've had a fantastic year. But they are set up as a sole proprietor and not an S corporation or an LLC. And so we talked a lot about being an LLC with an S corp designation, taking some of that money as a distribution. If you are making more, this is what my accountant says, if you make more than $30,000 to $40,000 a year of income, net income, you should probably be an S corporation. So if you are running as a sole proprietor and you are selling direct to consumer, if you are making more than $30,000 to $40,000 a year, please talk to your accountant, because you are going to have to set that up between January and March to change your entity structure. Please, please make sure that that is on your agenda to talk to your accountant and your attorney ASAP. To be running an operation this size without some sort of legal protection is just, it's just crazy. And it's not like crazy bad. It's just he's been so busy building, we haven't had time to think about it. But let's not put our house at risk if the business side goes bad, if something goes bad along the way. So definitely, you guys, good heavens, you are running a business. Make sure you have it set up as an LLC, okay? The other thing that was pretty cool this week is I had 4 clients that all do ranching for profit, and all of them in Executive Link. And so it was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome. I could see by the time I got to the 4th one, and he's got all these stickies in his office behind him, I said, "Are you in Ranching for Profit?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, all my Ranching for Profit people are in their office, and they all have these huge stickies on their walls behind them to remind them what they have to do next." So that's awesome to see. They all were doing really well. All right, next guy, another one, off the farm business, wants to expand. He has 2 sons, one that wants to ranch and another one that is disabled. And so we talked about, and this doesn't happen often, but we talked about, we have a rider that we can put on the policy that is really good for disabled children. Disabled in the aspect of they're going to have to go to, when mom and dad pass away, they might have to be in a facility to be taken care of. Another sibling will have to take care of them. There is some kind of, government assistance that's coming in. And so on this, there's a rider we can put on. So for example, if I own the policy and I'm the insured, when I pass away, there's a rider that my husband has death benefit. There's a rider that for my husband to be covered. My death benefit then goes and buys insurance on his life back to the age that he was. So let's say that we start the policy at 40. I die at 80. My death benefit, he can use that death benefit to buy insurance on himself as if he was 40. then when he passes away, that death benefit goes to the disabled son so that he is always guaranteed to have somebody care for him, and that can be paid for. So we talked about that. Mom also did not have a lot of life insurance, and again, a situation where he's like, well, I'm the breadwinner, she stays at home, and the younger son, she does homeschooling, and then the older one, she takes him to college because he can't drive. And I said, oh, so if she passes away tomorrow, you have to take the oldest one, you have to homeschool the youngest, you have to run your business. How you can do all that and not have that affect your income? Emotionally, you have to take care of yourself, your kids. You're going to have responsibilities of most likely bathing the oldest one and feeding him and doing all sorts of things that you rely on her to do during the day. And you're not going to just hand him over to somebody else because that's not the kind of people they are. So definitely needs to have more life insurance on mom probably than he has on himself. They both have lots of term. It expires in the next couple of years. So they're really in a situation where we got to figure out what we need to do. He too had just used a whole lot of cash to buy some land. And guess what? He's going to pay that back, and we're going to start a policy with that because you need to be an honest banker. Another one leases the land from dad. He's expanding to buy more cows. This was interesting because in my book, you guys see that I am not the fondest of FSA. And when I first had my first couple clients that worked with FSA, had an absolutely miserable time. I have since learned, writing the book, that FSA has really great programs. It is not necessarily FSA, it is the lender, the loan officer. Some of them have a power struggle and can make it absolutely impossible, and they are ridiculous to work with. And you find that in the banking system as well, and I just have very low tolerance for any of that. And so this particular couple kept getting denied because the loan officer is just a witch. And so they actually had to go to the state level to get something done, which is truly hindering how much they can do and what they can do, because FSA has great loan rates right now. They really are there for the beginning farmer rancher, and that's what these guys are, and they need that help. And so it's good and bad, right? Because good that they got some loans, and it's good that FSA has some programs. It's bad, and this lender, I would like to find her, and you know what? But at the end of the day, if you can't get a loan, and I've had this happen a couple times, people say, well, that bank won't give me a loan. Well, that's okay. You figured out a way to do it without the loan. Had the bank handed over the money, it would be very easy to be indebted to the bank. So if the bank's not going to give you the money, it's okay. That's great. At least you have an opportunity or it's forcing you to think differently and to look at different avenues. So that's awesome. All right. Okay. And then my last one, farming with dad. He's getting paid, and this is a unique situation as well. He is living on the place, but the house is really in need of some updates because it's pretty old. Need of some updates, but there's no income there to buy the house and do the updates. And so we really had to get creative on how do we get the house? How do we get these updates? And he said, well, Mary Jo, I said, I'm not seeing where we can start a policy. And he said, well, I'm going to save about $1,200 a month because I'm going to dump my insurance coverage and I'm going to go to a health share plan. Okay, great. You can save $1,200 a month, but I said, if you have to buy the house, your payment's going to be $1,100 a month. So we really, again, same situation as earlier. We kind of have to get some stuff in order before we start a policy, because I could have easily said, oh yeah, great, we got $12,000 a year. Let's get started. And then he has to buy the house and he doesn't have the money. And so we have to figure out where that comes into play and where we're going to find this money. So we had to run over some avenues of where are we going to find the money? What is that going to look like? And then we'll come back and visit again. But some stuff that we had to figure out. And he already has a whole life insurance policy with $40,000 of cash value. So that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So if he wants to buy cows in the meantime or something like that, at least he's already got something started with a mutual company, not a perfect policy, but a good policy. At least it's not universal life or some kind of crappy life insurance. So he can use that and we can go from there and meet again when everything is settled. And then I just had, I did have a couple client phone calls this week, but I don't think that they were anything. Oh, yes, you know what? I did. I keep getting these phone calls. Holly, let's talk about that. I've never heard of that. I have a couple of phone calls. I've had more than a couple. It's crazy. With the state of the nation that it's in, people think that our dollar is going to fall and collapse tomorrow. Depending on what you're thinking, where should we put this money? Should we take it out of the bank? Is it safe on the bank? Is the dollar going to collapse? And you guys, I'm no fortune teller. I don't know what's going to happen. You can listen to everybody. I have been doing this long enough to have heard that the dollar is going to collapse forever. And the dollar hasn't collapsed. And we just keep printing money when causing inflation. And if the dollar falls, the dollar's gone. Doesn't matter where it's at. If you have money in the bank, there can be a run on the bank. They can create a banking holiday. You may not get access to your money. Do you want to have some money in cash? Yes. Where do you want to put your money? I'm getting all these calls. Mary Jo, what do I do with my cash? Where do I put it? I can't get it in a policy fast enough, or we're not going to have enough money to start another policy. What do I do with it? Well, you can buy real estate if you want to buy real estate. If you want to do rental properties, you can do that. If you want to be a hard money lender, I have a lot of friends that do that. They know somebody that flips houses and they will lend money they won't necessarily lend money, but let's say I'm going to flip $100,000 house. So I don't have the $100,000, but Susie does. So Susie buys the $100,000 house. I go in, I fix it up. We sell it. Susie gets her $100,000. Her name's taken off the house because she bought it. Her name was on it. Her name's taken off the house, and she's making anywhere between 10 to 12% interest is what a lot of these flippers are paying private lenders. And so you can do that. You could start a business. What kind of business are you going to start? I had a client this morning. We really talked about where is this country going? What's changing? We are seeing a lot of people ordering online. Are we going to be starting a business packaging for Amazon? Are we going to be starting a business that you're managing and consulting the packing? And so that this particular client of mine has extensive years experience in helping large companies effectively run their packing and their shipping departments. And so is that something that would be awesome that she could start a consulting business, because we're seeing people doing different things. We're moving offices home. Is there a need? Where is the need and where can we fill it? What area do you know that you could maybe start a business? Is it direct to consumer beef? Is that where it's at? I have a friend who they don't even have any cows. There's a national company privately butchering and sending her the beef to sell in her small town. She doesn't have to have the overhead, but she can have the store and she can still support the beef industry. Can we team up with somebody that does vegetables, right? So now we're shipping beef and vegetables. What can we do with that cash? We have to really think outside the box. What do we know? But should you leave it in the bank? You guys, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I have money in the bank. I have money in life insurance. I got cash on hand, right? I don't know what's going to be right, what's going to be wrong. I have no idea what the heck's going to happen any more than the next guy. But all these doomsday sayers, I've been hearing it for so long, I'm like immune to it already. I don't know. Like, I'll keep it back there in the back of my head. And people say, well, buy gold and silver. Well, okay, if gold is so awesome, why do you want my worthless dollar in exchange for your gold? You want me to just carry on a little lighter and I'm just gonna melt some off for you? Like, we have to have some sort of means of exchange. Yes, we can barter to a certain extent. And you know, I've got people that are preppers, man. I got people that don't know anything that's going on, and then I have the other extreme, that people that are preppers. They have guns, they have ammo, they have cash on hand, gold, silver, food, water, rice. Like, they're all ready to go. And so, you know, better prepared than nothing, I guess. I used to live in that world. I was eating, sleeping, breathing it, and I was so worked up all the time. And so I'm going to do what I can do. But do you leave it in the stock market right now? Who's going to be our next president? Hopefully we know by January. I couldn't tell you. If you are concerned about it, if it doesn't feel right to you, move the money to cash, move it to a bond portfolio, take some money out, have some money in cash, buy some gold and silver. If that's what feels right to you, do it. But to ask somebody what's going to happen, I don't know. Any more than Schiff knows what's going to happen, any more than Austrian economists know, right? It just depends what station you're listening to. End of the day, I want liquid money. I want to be able to control the risk and know where I have it. So if that's what you want, think about where that is. And I sat on cash value for a long time until we found something we wanted to invest in. A long time. It doesn't mean we have to do it right now. So I don't even know if that helped, but I've just had a lot of those questions. What do I do with it? Because, you know, everybody says the world's coming to an end. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. And if it ends, we probably won't need any money. Right? If revelation is going to happen, we're not going to need any money. Okay, you guys, that's it. That's all I got. If you, obviously, all of you that listening, I think every single one that said hi has these books. But if you don't, grab the books, get a chance to read them all. Make sure that you get this one for Christmas for all your non-farm friends. And you get some farming ones for Christmas for your other farm friends that you want to share it with. I would very much appreciate it. Otherwise, tune in to tomorrow's podcast because you should like it if you have a little business. Just a little business advice from me. I am by no means an expert, but just a little business advice. Okay, you guys, if you want to hear a topic on the podcast, email me. If you have questions, comments, message me here. Email me at maryjo.withoutthebank. Either way, doesn't matter. I'm happy to answer. All right, you guys, have a fantastic week. It's Thursday. Have a fantastic weekend.